we have hot takes to discuss. So, first up, if you were required to drive an EV today as your daily driver, which brand and model would you choose and why? Moretti, I feel like you always have great things to say. You brought out the Harley electric motorcycle last time around. So
sure,
let's hear it.
Man, speaking of that, if you've ever seen the Gogoro electric scooters, that I think they started in Taiwan, but they're using a platform where instead of charging the scooter, you pull the whole battery, and they have instead of charging stations, they have battery like dispensing stations. So you put your dead battery in, you pull a new one out, drop it in the scooter, and you're gone. Suggest you look it up because I think it's a much better platform than having to essentially lock down your vehicle while it charges. Just came to my mind. But so my answer is going to be boring because there's so many great EVs, in my opinion, that I would choose to drive if I chose to own an EV. But I'm going to go with a used Tesla Model S that comes with unlimited supercharging. If I, as a U.S. citizen today, had to purchase an EV, it would be a used Tesla Model S that still had that unlimited free supercharging locked into the platform. Because for in my opinion, I love EVs. I've said it before on our other podcasts. Like the experience of driving an EV, even as someone who loves internal combustion vehicles, I love the EV experience as well. It's different, but it's also just as fun in some scenarios. However, I think our charging infrastructure is the issue. So if you're not driving a Tesla, you're going to have not as good of a time with charging infrastructure. It's that simple.
Super true. All right, Bordeaux, let's go to you. What do you think, man?
I'm super.
Would you ever drive an EV?
Yeah. I think I could work my way into an EV. I don't think there's anything right now that I just would absolutely go crazy for right now. The Rivian is as close as it gets, I think. It kind of checks all the boxes, and it's just different than anything else that's in the market. You get supercar,
Gallagher's just aggressively throwing you shade this entire
such dark shade is leaning into the camera. Gallagher,
Mike's hot take the whole time. Wow. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I don't want anything to do with it. That's fine, man. Look, let me keep trying here. So 0 to 60, supercar speed. You have crazy capable 4-wheel drive, Rubicon level capabilities. You have all sorts of little nooks and crannies to store stuff in that other manufacturers just don't get you because they have to meet some sort of specific global platform. And I don't know. I think it's got a decent enough range compared to other electric cars, and it's just really cool and something that I think is going to stick around for a while. I don't know, Gallagher, what's the, we talked about this before, right? It's just getting stuck on a mountain, right? So what's the point of the capability?
No questions on the performance. I simply cannot stand the look. It looks like Wall-E from that Disney movie.
The front end is just so ugly, dude. It is just
fail.
Whoa! If we're talking, that blows my mind. I think it's a beautiful looking machine.
Yeah, cool. You figured it out, Lucas. Good job.
This is controversial. Okay, so quickly, who is pro look of the Rivian versus against look of the Rivian? Pro?
Ooh, outnumbered.
Against?
Goodbye.
Wow.
Okay.
Haters, dude. Haterade.
No, dude. It's freaking the creature from Big Hero 6. That's his face. And that just, it doesn't look cool.
You mean
in the front
hero
of a
from Big Hero 6? the amazing, lovable robot that saves these children? You're not on board with that design?
Not for a truck. You don't want your truck to look like that.
If my truck could be Big Hero 6, I would for sure take that deal. That's a heck of a deal.
Okay, so for those listening out there, give us your opinion on whether you think the Rivian looks good or not. I think this is definitely a controversial topic. Gallagher, what do you got, man? You're hating on the Rivian, so what would be your EV daily driver of choice?
Yeah, I've only driven, as far as EVs, I've only driven a Nissan Leaf. Would not be my choice either. That is the most underwhelming, unimpressive EV. I'd have to lean. I like Tesla for the same reasons Moretti said. With the just function, sort of the grid access and charging access. But as far as aesthetics, I really like the Lucid Air as just nice. It looks more refined. It looks like a nicer like that's the platform or sort of the look I'd want to be in.
You know what's funny is just to kind of comment on that. I got to drive a Lucid Air in Texas, and I was walking by. I was at a gathering, and I was walking by the cars of everyone parked there, and noticed that someone had driven in a Lucid. And it took me a minute to realize it, and then I was like, oh wow, dude, I haven't seen one of these in real life. And the owner was just a gem of a human being. And when he saw my interest, was like, hey, you want to take it for a drive? I was like, listen, you don't know who you're talking to. So if you let me drive this thing, I'm going to drive it. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so I peeled out of there like I robbed the place. It was a blast to drive. It was so fast. However, it was actually kind of small. I'm a pretty tall, big guy. It was kind of not great for me getting in and out of. And I will say it fades into the rest of the vehicles more than this kind of, to ping off your comment on the Rivian. I like that the Rivian shows a different look, that it doesn't just look like an F-150 or any other truck, right? And the Lucid, if you weren't really looking, it could have just blended into the rest of the cars in the parking lot. It didn't.
Looks like an Avalon.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think it's not aesthetically pleasing by any stretch of the imagination, but I do like EVs that embrace that they're doing something different, and it's an opportunity to also embrace a different design. Whether you like that design or not, I like when they take risks.
Yeah, that's a great call out. I agree with the Avalon comment, Bordeaux, and Gallagher. I think it's a great pick. I haven't personally driven that car myself, but it would be up there for me. All right, Lucas, what do you got, my friend? Tell us, EV of choice for daily driver.
So if I had to pick one as of today, it'd be one that I got to drive as well, which was the BMW i4 M50. Talk about blending in. It looks just like the rest of their 4 Series lineup, but it was a blast to drive. BMW has some driving events that happen across the country, and they had one here in North Carolina. And it was just a really good time. I was genuinely impressed with the car. I'm sure the range isn't up there with the rest of the cars, but coming from a larger manufacturer like BMW, I think they nailed it. I haven't been a big fan of EVs, and I like BMW's take on it. They left a lot of the performance on the table, and if I chose one today, that would probably be it. But in the future, I want to see what Canoo keeps coming out with. I know Mike and I were just talking about that yesterday, and Canoo's coming out with some, arguably controversial designs as well. I'm sure Gallagher's probably not a fan, but they kind of follow that Rivian train of like a funky design, but very utilitarian. So I'm curious to see what that's going to look like when it hits the roads.
Nice. Zach, do you have any thoughts on this one? You're a truck guy yourself, but you're against the Rivian. So what do you think?
Yeah. Well, they claim it exists, but it doesn't. But I'm going to just say I want a Cybertruck black matte, because I want to be freaking Batman, man. Get me on the road. I will run everybody off of it.
Why can't Tesla produce that? Come on.
I am not going to sit here and allow you to say you think that the Cybertruck is cool and the Rivian is not a good-looking vehicle.
Zach, we have to have a longer conversation about this.
I think you need glasses, my dude. That's like a pixelated version of a truck or an actual truck.
Yeah, I felt like I had an ally here until you said that. Now it's just...
Dude, I'll take the angles over the weird bubbles any day. Angles over bubbles, man.
Angles over bubbles.
No.
So this is like Lamborghini versus Ferrari, Buffum. Like, are you a Lamborghini guy because of the harsh angles versus the Ferrari sweeps?
It doesn't like
he's having a hard
permeate
time
every
backing this
single
up.
category of my life,
I want our first podcast team shirt needs to be angles over. What did you say?
Angles over
circles.
Bubbles.
Angles over bubbles.
Oh, that's too good. All right, this was good. I almost feel like I shouldn't share my opinion to this crew because I might just get crucified or something here. But I was going to go Rivian. I'm a huge Rivian fan across the board. I think they're incredibly innovative. And now they're trading, very low. At the time of recording this podcast, they are trading below their value for once. But in light of all of the conversation around that, I'm going to go i3. And this is definitely a controversial one. I love the look of the i3. The range itself is not great, but it's a great little like commuter city car. I love the little like cutout for your dog or your kids in the back, and the whole design and like the style behind it. They're actually super fun to drive. They're like
super
big
light,
go-karts.
right? I think they're a carbon bucket. The whole body is like a carbon fiber. It's really interesting how they made it.
It's a really, really cool design. And then the other thing that I call out on the i3 that I love is they're cheap. I mean, the lease deals on those things are incredibly good. They always have been. And, they're just really great. So
Nice.
That's my call out.
In 2011, when the i3 is coming out, I'm going to give a shout out to BMW USA for bringing that over to our vocational school as students and demoing it to a group of high school students who just recently got their permits and licenses. And they were showing us and letting us drive the vehicle around, a closed course that they had put around our school. And it was really, really neat to kind of get hands-on experience that young in and just seeing what was coming out. It wasn't even hitting the roads back then. It was a total concept that they were coming out with. Believe that's when they first started introducing them. And it was just a really neat experience back in high school / vocational school.
Can we call out how brave it is for BMW to hand the keys to a prototype to a bunch of automotive students? Like, that's...
I like that we're shouting out BMW. Like,
Now,
you know who doesn't
we're
get
like
enough?
boosting back up already. We have to make him feel better.
USA.
We got to make you feel better after the 5 Series comment already. Like, we're just trying to boost you back up.
Oh my gosh.